Hey, this is your boy Bob TV with Freedom on Fire. How you doing today? Donna Brazile, you claim to be Big Mama of the Democratic Party. We know you replaced Marsha Fudge, who replaced Debbie Wasserman Schultz because of collusion with the DNC to derail or to screw Bernie Sanders in what I call the Philadelphia screw job. And you replaced them. And we thought this was a good thing till we find out that you were implicated in WikiLeaks by leaking information concerning a town hall debate. Now, you're trying to backtrack it. You're trying to cover your behind for it. You need to stop. You look stupid. I'm quite sure you're a bright, smart woman. If you wasn't, I don't think you would be in the position that you are right now. You gotta stop it. You're caught. Stop being like a little kid. I caught you, stop. Don't give excuses. Admit it. Yes, I did give the information. I got it from Roland Martin, and I did give the information to it, or I gave the information to Roland Martin so he can ask the question at the debates. Admit it. You're caught. Red-handed. Don't blame this on Russia. Stop with the Russian talk. Russians ain't got nothing to do with this. This is you. You guys just... You really making it hard for anybody to come back to the Democratic Party, because the whole entire Democratic Party are acting like spoiled brats who got caught in a mess because all they can do is escape responsibility, try to deflect it with something else like but Trump did this, but Trump. Nobody care about what Trump did. We're talking about you. You try to deflect it, then you holler, Trump, Russia, Trump to Russia, Trump, Russia. Come on, stop. This is just immaturity. You guys are supposed to be world leaders. You're supposed to be representing our country. Other countries are looking at us as a laughingstock because of people like you, Donna Brazile, Big Mama Brazile. Now, let's watch this.
What Al Hunt is getting at is something we hear about a lot, which is Hillary Clinton should be doing better. And the reason she isn't is in the news in a number of different ways this week. And the first is the emails that were disclosed this week of relationships between the Clinton Foundation and the Clinton State Department. The Republicans call it pay to play.
It's not pay to play unless somebody, actually gave someone 50 cents to say, I need a meeting. No. In this great country of ours, when you meet with constituents, when you meet with heads of states, when you meet with people like Bono, who I love, you meet with them because they want to bring a matter to your attention. That's not pay to play. It's called that when Democrats do it. It's not called that when Republicans do it.
But what we do see in these emails is a kind of easy relationship between the foundation and the State Department. Somebody from the foundation calls and says, we've got somebody who they say is a friend of ours, and they're not saying that because they gave him a gift basket at Christmas. They're saying it because they're a big donor. They're a friend of ours. Can you have this meeting? Sometimes the meeting happened, sometimes it didn't, but there's a very easy relationship. Is that just the way Washington works?
So there's no there. Of course, we're going to read these emails. We have a lot of interest in the gossip. Sometimes we don't have a lot of interest in the crime. And in the case of the Democratic Party, I have to mention this because I'm a little bit familiar. The Democratic Party was the victim of a cyber attack by a foreign country. And once we were attacked, the media became obsessed with what was in the emails and not the crime itself. In fact, the person who's peddling personal information of individuals involved in this spurious act, he's able to come on television, I'm talking about Julian Assange, and say, I got more stuff to leak. I have more material to give out to the media. The media is focused on what I call the internal gossip and not the crime itself. And I'm worried about cybersecurity and the threat that it poses to our democracy and our country itself.
But they're concerned about the emails because the emails were in a private server. You couldn't get through them the normal way. So this isn't just some kind of random...
And again, going back, because there are so many lines that you cross when you talk about emails, there's no question that whether the State Department emails that were released, the State Department emails that were leaked, the State Department emails that will come out, however you draw the conclusion, if there's no there.
Do you owe the voters an apology for passing a question for a town hall off to the Hillary Clinton campaign?
Sir, you know what? I wish when you got your facts, you read you read the emails. And
I did read a lot of them.
Well, you clearly did not read my email, sir. The Democratic National Committee, as Secretary Clinton alluded to tonight, was a victim of a cybercrime.
You keep saying that, but the email was that you passed it along.
Private emails were stolen from individuals that had no right being trafficked in the public sphere.
We've heard this, but what about you passing a question to Hillary Clinton's campaign, the town hall before?
Trump badger women. You're welcome.
Yes, a journalist asking a question is badgering you.
Yes.
You've said it on Russia.
Sir?
You passed the question. Jake Tapper has also said you passed the question. Do you have anything to say about that?
Questions as a contributor to CNN.
Well, first of all, let me answer the question, because as much as I respected journalists all my political life, and I will respond to questions, as I've stated repeatedly, that the Democratic Party was a victim of a cybercrime, and I don't peddle in what I call the illegal dumping of private emails in the public sphere that have been altered, that have been in many cases readapted. And so, as I've stated repeatedly, and I'll state it again for the record, I have never been privileged, as long as I've been not just a part of CNN, which, let me just say how proud I am to have been a contributor for CNN and other news outlets. And no one has ever shared questions with any of us involved in CNN as.
Do you have proof that it was Russia? Do you have proof that it was Russia?
Sir, as we've stated, and the United States government has also stated, and if you would like a copy of the Department of Homeland Security and the information that they released 2 weeks ago, you're welcome to have it, but I'm sure you have it. But
they also told us we had WMDs. Why should we trust this?
Because we have ample evidence. We've been the victim of a cybercrime. We have ample evidence. We have ample evidence through our servers and through all of the technology that we have seen corrupted by the fingerprints used by Russian hackers. So,
turn out on election day.
You also heard Rudy Giuliani say something that I think is true. Had this story not broken on Friday afternoon, today we'd be spending a lot more time on those emails that were released on Friday. John Podesta, the chairman of Hillary Clinton's campaign, emails talking about those speeches she gave to private groups back before she started to run for president, including one where she talked about, this is one excerpt of a speech, "My dream is a hemispheric common market with open trade and open borders sometime in the future, with energy that is as green and sustainable as we can get it, powering growth and opportunity for every person in the hemisphere, open trade, open borders." This is the kind of thing that, had this come out, as he pointed out, Mr. Giuliani pointed out, had this come out during the primary race with Bernie Sanders, this would have been devastating to Hillary.
You know, I was with Bernie the other day when some of this WikiLeaks stuff came out, and Bernie Sanders went out there to tell voters in New Hampshire that he's with Hillary Clinton, Senator Tim Kaine. George, when you see something postmarked from Russia, you should be afraid to open up the document.
But these are legit, aren't they?
I don't know. I refuse to open these documents. I refuse to allow a foreign government, foreign companies to interfere and meddle and manipulate information. So I don't know if it's true or not true, but I can tell you what she's been saying in public about trade, what she's been saying in public about Wall Street, what she's been saying in public about immigration reform. I have no idea of those documents. They have been, as you know, selectively leaking and manipulating documents. Postmark, the United States government finally acknowledged that that the Democratic Party, Democratic institutions have been hacked, and I don't trust anything.
So you don't believe these are actually the excerpts of the speeches?
Let me just say something, George. As you well know, the reason why Secretary Clinton's speeches became a topic in the primary is because she released her taxes. Donald Trump has not released his taxes. So I believe that information I don't know, George. I refuse to open them up. And I've asked the staff at the DNC and all our Democratic allies, don't open up that crap, because it's postmarked from Russia.
Democratic National Committee. Donna, thank you very much for being here. So the people involved in that campaign to incite violence at the Trump rallies and make it look like Trump supporters were violent when in fact they had been provoked by these folks looking for a fight, say that this was in direct coordination with Hillary Clinton's camp and with the DNC. Scott Foval, the guy caught on tape who's now been fired, said this is how it worked. The Hillary camp pays the DNC pays Democracy Partners, our group, who pays the Foval group, and that's the group that quote, executes the expletive on the ground.
Hey, Kelly, that contract, first of all, that contract, based on my knowledge, I became chair on July 28th. The contract that is allegedly being referred to was not signed until June of 2016. I think all of that evidence is out there. Look, when you have a convicted criminal sneaking around your office with imposters that try to
Are you referring to Bob Kramer, the head of Democracy Partners?
No, I'm referring to Mr. O'Keefe in the instance that he has doctored some videos as he's done before. But again, going back to the so-called contract that you mentioned, Bob's contract, according to the records that I was able to pull at the DNC, was not signed until June of 2016.
Bob Kramer, just to get our viewers up to speed. Let me just say, I'll give you the floor, but I just want to tell our viewers what we're talking about, because they may not know who he is. Bob Kramer's the head of... One second, Donna. Forgive me, because I just want to get the viewers up to speed who haven't been following this like you and I have.
Okay.
Bob Kramer was the head of Democracy Partners. This is one of the groups. He's now been fired. This is one of the groups that committed these acts. He's the man who was at the White House 342 times and met personally, according to the records, with President Obama in some fashion over 40 times. He's now been dismissed, but he's the one saying that there was coordination with the DNC, and this is obviously a very well-connected man. He, too, is a convicted felon, convicted for fraud. This is obviously not an honest person, and yet you were working very closely with him, the DNC.
Well, again, Bob Kramer, I went back to the DNC the other day when this came up after we learned that we had a trespass, a convicted criminal sneaking around our office posing as an intern, and I asked for the records of Mobilize to be produced.
You say that you play straight up, but I have to ask you because you were accused of receiving a debate question before a CNN town hall where they partnered with TV One, and that you had this question on March 12th. That verbatim was provided by Roland Martin to CNN the next day. How did you get that question, Donna?
Well, Kelly, since I play straight up, and I'll play straight up with you, I did not receive any questions from CNN. Let's just be
Where'd
very
you get it?
clear.
Where did you get it?
First of all, what information are you providing to me that will allow me to see what you're talking about? Everybody
You got the WikiLeaks released a March 12th Podesta email showing you messaging the Clinton campaign with the exact wording of a question asked at the March 13th CNN TV1 town hall debate.
Kelly,
where did you get it?
You know, as a Christian woman, I understand persecution, but I will not sit here and be persecuted because your information is totally false. What you're telling the American people,
from Podesta's email.
Well, Podesta's emails were stolen. You're so interested in talking about stolen
So you
material.
deny it.
You're like a thief that want to bring into the night the things that you found that was in the gutter. I'm not. Let me just tell you what I said from day one.
CNN's Jake Tapper came out and said this was unethical. Somebody was unethically helping the Clinton campaign. He said, "I love Donna Brazile, but this is very, very upsetting." My understanding is that the email to Donna Brazile, this is Jake Tapper. My understanding is that the email to Donna Brazile came from either Roland Martin or someone around Roland Martin. He said, "This is very upsetting and very troubling." That's your own colleague at CNN. It's not Megyn Kelly. Who gave you that question?
Megan, once again, I've said it, and I've said it on the record, and I'll say it on the record, and I'll keep saying it on the record. I am not going to try to validate falsified information. I have my documents. I have my files. Thank God I have not had my personal emails ripped off from me and stolen and given to some criminals to come back altered. I have my records, I have my files, and as I've said repeatedly, CNN, in the 14 years I was associated with CNN, I've never received anything. If I had a blank piece of paper, that would basically be the end of this conversation. I never get documents from CNN.
Well, when you said so, from time to time I get the questions in advance, what were you referring to? Because in that email you offered the exact question that one of the moderators, Roland Martin, then proposed the next day.
So my reference back to you, ma'am, with all respect, and I respect you greatly.
And I respect you too.
The validity of those emails, if I can only tell you one thing, because as you know, this whole episode is under criminal investigation, But I could just tell you one thing. A lot of those emails, I would not give them the time of the day. I've seen so many doctored emails. I've seen things that come from me at 2 in the morning that I don't even send. There are several email addresses that I
appreciate that, and they haven't all been verified.
Sorry that we have, this has not been verified. This is, nobody will, this is under investigation. And let me just tell you something. If there's anything that I have, I will share.
I'ma keep on lying to you. Yeah. Until you think it's the truth.
Now, during this whole process, you're trying to escape it. Well, they don't have my emails. You don't know that yet. You don't know that, Donna Brazile. They may have your email. They just probably haven't released it. That's how all these people are. You got to understand, WikiLeaks can steal your email. You can't edit an email. You can't alter an email. That's your email. It wasn't your email per se, but yes, it was your email. Admit to it. You gave out questions that you anticipated to be answered. Why? Why did you do that? Maybe because of this reason. The last time Hillary Clinton was at the Commander-in-Chief Forum, a friend of mine who works at the Intrepid said they overheard that after that question, and I applaud Matt Lauer. I'm not a great fan of Matt Lauer because I think he weasel out and punk out on a lot of questions like most of you journalists. You're a bunch of punks. You don't ask a hard question and follow up and hold their feet to the fire until they give you the answers. One of the reasons why you don't ask the hard questions is because you're complicit in WikiLeaks too, as being kiss-ups to the Clintons too. Which this kind of attitude is leaving a direct path to fascism. Not for Donald Trump, but for Hillary Clinton. I'm going to do a separate video for that. So, you're not asking a hard question, but I applaud him for asking a hard question. It wasn't even a hard, tough question. It was hard and tough questions for, oh, my nails are going to break, Miss Hillary Clinton. So she getting mad, and after the event was over, from my sources at the Intrepid, a friend of mine who worked there, heard in the green room that she was mad at you. Went off on you in front of everybody. Took her glass, threw it against the wall, and looked at you. I guess everybody was shocked that she did this. Shouldn't be shocked, folks. Y'all know how Clinton rolled. You heard the Secret Service stories when the Secret Service was detailing her as First Lady. You heard the stories about the Secret Service man who got hit in the head with the Bible by Hillary Clinton. You heard the story about how she beats on Bill Clinton. And I told you the story how she shuns Bill Clinton, who I believe is his black son, Danny Williams Clinton, who I'm going to be featuring on the show soon. She's trying to block him from being a part of Danny's life. Why? Because of her own agenda. She threw the glass at the wall, looked at you, and said, why are you sitting there looking dumbfounded? Like a brown cow. Why are you looking at the wall like a dead buffalo? Clean this mess up. Now I know she's talking about cleaning the mess of her making a mistake, not being able to answer the questions right in that particular situation, or she was saying clean this mess up, this mess that I just threw on the floor. You supposed to be big mama, and you supposed to be tough woman, and you ain't gonna let nobody. I'm a Christian, so I'm not gonna let nobody persecute me, as you said in that video. Well, you let Hillary Clinton persecute you. Was it worth it? Do you understand that even though she may have campaigned for you in the past, she didn't vote for you? The people vote for you. The people didn't vote for you because of Hillary Clinton. Maybe they did. Maybe they did. You need to change that. You need to become the leader that you're supposed to be, not an under leader. I follow the leader, therefore I become a great leader as I follow. No, those people voted for you to represent them, not her. She called you a brown cow. She threw a glass at the wall. And she asked you, why are you looking at it like a dead buffalo? Clearly to me, brown cow is kind of sexist or racist. Talking about your weight, talking about you being black. Looking like a dead buffalo. And my Democratic friends, the ones of color, I've went over this over and over again, how racist Hillary Clinton has been in the past, and the underlying racism that's all wrapped up in her everything. But no, you too focused looking on the outright racism of Donald Trump and not even looking at the underlying racism of Hillary Clinton. I've got 2 videos on this. One is called Just as Racist, and one is Hillary Clinton and Black Lives Matter. Black lives do not matter to Hillary Clinton, only your black votes matter. And when we're going to get in the position where we're going to stop being voting whores or voting sluts. Let me say it this way. Wow, that's a tough term, Robert. It is what it is. See, at least a whore gets something, makes herself of value. From $20 to $2,000 an hour. I respect a whore. Then I respect a slut. A slut wants it just as bad as the person who she's with want it. And a slut will give it up easy. And a slut just want the gratification, want the sex. They don't care about the value that they have. And that's how some of us black people are. We're voters, we're voting like we're sluts. We're just going out there voting because of a deed. Voting because they put black people in office. Voting because they're supposed to be looking for the common man. And yet, you're not getting nothing in return. You're just giving up your vote without making a demand, an exchange. In other words, you don't see your own value. I'm going to do a separate video on that. I'm not going to talk about that right now. Yet we're voting. You're voting for this lady. Yet you're voting for this lady who is an underlying racist. Donna Brazile. Stop covering up for them. I know you're in charge of the DNC. Why don't you take a bold stand and be something different? Why don't you start stepping in the leader position? Why don't you consider yourself a potential person to be a president one day? You're the head of the DNC. Now you need to set a precedence and say, I'm not going to be favoritism nobody. I don't care if their name is Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, or Joe Biden, or Santa Claus. I'm not going to be in favor of nobody. This is a new DNC with new rules. I'm not kissing up. We're not going to be colluding with the media. We're not going to be colluding with other party members. We're not going to be doing none of that. We're going to clean the house. When it's time for you to step up and clean the house. The Podesta emails got you implicated and everybody else implicated. The Democratic Party look like the undemocratic party. And anytime you let a woman like that, especially, and I'm not racist, it's bad enough a black woman call you that. Then you're going to let a white woman sit there and call you a black cow. A dead buffalo. And tell you to clean up that mess. I'm thinking she's talking about the glass that she broke. In other words, go and serve me, servant. Or I might have you smoked out. Or I might take your job and I will not campaign for you. And do whatever you want to do. You're going to jail anyway. Don't you dare let anybody, not even Hillary Clinton, undermine you, devalue, and don't you dare. You only have one destiny, Donna Brazile, and that's yours, not Hillary Clinton. Don't you dare do this. Don't you dare. And not after she has blamed you for those questions, threw the glass out the wall, told you to clean it up, call you a dead buffalo and a brown cow, this racist, slanderous, sexist remark from the so-called savior of the black race, who ain't gonna save nothing, just like her husband didn't save anything. not going to do anything particular for the black community, and going to lead you into voting for her agenda, which is going to be pro-corporation, pro-elite, pro-high donor, and pro-war. Do yourself a favor, Donna Brazile. Get your courage. If you're the big mama of the DNC, right? Get your courage. A couple things I want to remind you who you are. You're a strong black woman. You come from the old school. You say you know the streets. Then you got to take that street knowledge and put it into your position as a politician. You don't let nobody undermine you. You don't let nobody put you down. I don't care if it is Hillary Clinton. You don't let no one undermine you. You say you're a Christian woman. As a bold woman of faith, you don't let the enemy or anybody get in the inner you and suppress you. You don't do that. As a strong Christian woman, as you told Megyn Kelly. And how you're not going to let anybody persecute you, then that includes Hillary Clinton. You say you don't play dodgeball, so you don't dodge questions. You don't play dodgeball. You play basketball. You go straight up to the... Then stop doing that. Because everything you're doing is dodging. You dodge Megyn Kelly. You dodge Jordan Sheridan. You dodge this person. You dodge that. Admit that it was not the Russians. Your so-called sources say it was Russian is a false narrative. It is a lie. The government said it wasn't Russia. So stop saying it's Russia. Stop saying they're altered documents, because you can't alter an email. So it's not an altered document. You stop using this criminal probe. WikiLeaks did not break into somebody's email. Somebody else did. It's no different from the people who broke into Watergate and found the Watergate tapes and handed it to the media, and the media exposed Nixon corruption. This is the same thing. We need whistleblowers. We need people to unveil the truth. You reporters, which you are part-time, politician / reporter, journalists, are too pumped to give us the real news. Why? Because they're in the pocket of the Hillary Clinton campaign, because their bosses have invested in it. So it's time for you, since you're the head of the DNC, you need to make changes, because if you don't make change, if you do not make changes in the DNC, independent from whoever's going to be running for president, we know the DNC is ran by the Clintons. You need to cut that at its knees. And if you're going to ever, because people like me are going to the Green Party and not going to ever have anything to do with Democrats. We may vote in down Bernie-crats. We may not. But you need to save that party. I'm not going to join it, but you need to save that party. You need to get your guts, be the street, your street cred, so to speak. Be the big mama, so to speak. Be the big dog, so to speak. Be the one that like to go up to the court, don't dodge. Be that woman. Stop letting people like Hillary Clinton undermine who you are. Yes, they may have put you in that position, but now you're in that position. You go forward with everything you got. You reshape the Democratic Party. You do not answer to nobody but yourself. Hillary Clinton is not your boss, and if she was the president, she is not your boss. You are the head of the DNC. You mold and shape. You the one take the reins. You the one take control of this horse done gone rogue. Now I'm Bob TV. Stop letting people punk you, Donna Brazile. Because right now, you don't look like a big dog. You look like a sick puppy following around Hillary Clinton. Peace.